So now that we have our water pump on, timing case, balancer, we've got the sump on, we have sealed up the bottom end, flipped it over. Now it is time to do some head studs. Now the head bolts on this engine go down into the water jacket. So we have to seal them up with some ARP thread sealer. We'll seal these up, get them in, so that way we can get our heads on, which are sitting over there on the bench, waiting to go. So we'll get them over here, finish this engine off, make some horsepower with this thing. I just can't wait. All right, that's the take. Come on, that is the take. It has to be. That is the take. All right. So just make sure we wipe away that excess sealant so it doesn't interfere with our head sealing. It's also important to note that the long studs go to the top. Short studs on the bottom, long studs on the top with this particular setup. So we've got our heads back from the machinist. They've been cleaned, hot tanked. The faces have been surfaced, and we've recut the seats because they're looking a bit, how you going? So basically I'm going to reassemble them now with these heavy duty valve springs, titanium retainers, so they are very light and should help our top end revs as well. So we'll reassemble them with some new valve stem seals, get them together, get them on the engine, make some power. Alright, I'm just going to hook in and do it. So the guides are pretty good, so we don't really need to redo the guides. It's got valve stem seals here. Slide them over. Getting there. Okay, so that's one head pretty much done. This side. Okay, that is head number 2 done. Well, I reckon it's time to get them on the engine. So as we would with our barra builds, we're going to use multi-layer head gaskets for our Supercharged 6. So these have come from Mace Engineering. And they're decently thick too, which is interesting. So, let's have a look, make sure I'm going on the right way. Okay, so arrow pointing towards the front of the engine. We've got an L on this side, and we have an R on this side. Well, we've got an arrow. Now we've got our washers, our nuts, and our assembly goo. So I'm just going to be naughty and nip them up with the old Ryobi to start off with. So I'll just start off with 70 Newton meters. Alright, I'll go find out the final torque setting. It's 80 foot-pounds, so I have to convert that to Newton meters for our torque wrench. So, according to the old Googles, our torque figure is going to be 108.5 Newton meters. Yeah. So we're doing a bit of Scotty's Garage engineering here in the back of the workshop. So we've got our manifold here, which I've taken back off the motor because Josh Grant, who is a bit of an expert in these things, says I should run a inlet air temp sensor in the front of the manifold here, just under the supercharger. Now I have to drill and tap a M14 hole for this air temp sensor. Now I've drilled my hole and I've gone and bought myself a tap. And yes, I am really going to do this with a drill. I've done it quite a few times. So, we're just going to run it straight in the port. There we have it, one machined tapped hole. So that will then screw into there, like so. Job done. There we have it, back on again. So one other thing that the guys at Mace Engineering have sent us is this LS1 throttle body adapter. So instead of running the little V6 throttle body, we're going to use a much larger LS1 throttle body, which bolts to this elbow, which bolts to the back of the blower, like so. I'll show you the difference between those right now. So there's the V6 throttle body, the supercharged V6, and there's the LS1 throttle body. And so we can bolt it straight up using that adapter, but the best part is that it plugs straight in to the existing V6 wiring loom, like so. Click. Gotta love that. So we don't even have to modify the wiring loom. That's beautiful. So a while back, while we were unboxing some stuff, we told you the Tough Mounts sent us out some engine mounts, and at the time we didn't unwrap them because we thought, they're engine mounts. They're gonna look okay, but they're not really sexy, until we pulled them out of the packet. I mean, check them out. How nice are they? So these are going to look awesome on this engine. So this will be the one for this side. Whack a washer on there. Bust the nut. Now it's time for some fuel injection. I've got some Raceworks 1100cc E85 injectors here. They're only 3/4 length, so we'll have to use a 1/4 spacer on them, but these should work pretty well. Should help us make some real horsepower. Let's get them in there. So the injectors on the L67 are a little bit different than your normal Ecotech in that the injectors go into the head and not into the intake. That's because the supercharger is too wide to really position the injectors properly. So they made the injectors go straight into the cylinder head. Just a little difference if you're trying to mix and match parts. Now using these factory steel fuel lines creates a little bit of an issue. GM have dictated that they have these quick connect points. Now we want to use bigger fuel lines, bigger fuel pumps, so we can feed this thing some E85, make some real power. But thankfully, Raceworks have us covered with these little adapters. Now they will adapt these steel fuel line points to an AN fitting, so we can run big lines, big pumps, all that sort of stuff. So they're actually pretty easy to use. I'll show you how they go on right now. Whack a little bit of lube on there so we're not going in dry. No one likes to go in dry. Just a little screw together fitting. Now we're going to use -6 on the return. So this one goes behind, that one goes over the front, and they just screw together like so. So workshops have been using these on LS1s for years, quite popular, but I figured not everyone has seen these, but they are a pretty handy little device. So, alrighty, put the logos to the top, make it all nice. Okay, we'll tighten them up. So you may notice that the blower and fuel lines aren't on the engine. That's because Scotty stuffed up. Scotty forgot to put in the 2 little O-rings that go there and there under the blower. Don't forget those, otherwise it's going to cause you all sorts of issues. So quick trip down to Holden for some $36 O-rings. We'll put one in there. Another one right beside it. Should have remembered to order these from Mace because they were much cheaper from Mace. But I needed them in a hurry, so quick trip to Holden. We've got them in place. Let's put the blower on for the last time. Now I want to check the O-rings. They're still there. Okay. All right, it's on, nothing moved. Let's bolt it down. Wow, that could have been really embarrassing if we'd fired it up without those O-rings.